so excited.
It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
All right, 12:03, the morning after the Edmonton Oilers win. Oh, what's that, Gage? A bubbly.
A bubbly.
A little bubbly for our boy, Joaquin Gage today.
Yeah.
Some people over the chat were saying, two gentlemen and a goalie? No more.
No more.
No more. I mean, I did the whole gentleman thing for 3 hours.
Was exhausting.
I'm never entering into that role again. Let's just say that. Two Guys A Goalie brought to you by, well, unless they gentlemen sweep the Dallas Stars, then we'll run it back for the greatest show of all time because we already have the experience. Two Guys A Goalie brought to you by GS Construction, setting the industry standard for 50 years with quality, efficiency, and safety driving their success. GS Construction has a foundation built on teamwork. Now they want you to become a part of the team. Visit www.gsconstruction.ca and click Ready to Work, or visit their page at Indeed.ca with the Next Up Person program. At GS, it's not just a job, it is a career. Cass, what's up, my man? How you doing?
Good. I mean, I feel so vindicated with Stuart Skinner's play here, and
did it kill you to not be on postgame last night?
I kind of did a little bit, actually. Yeah. It kind of did a little bit. Just wasn't in a spot where I wasn't going to be able to do it. But I was sitting there and I was just like, man, there's some people that I could just rip on right now, and it would feel great. It would feel great. But even that, like, I've always tried to be a realist with it. So like, I'm happy for him. I was happy when Pickard was playing well. I was happy that they were winning. Like, go back to, when they put in Calvin Pickard, I felt they should. Stuart Skinner hadn't played very well to that point. Now the team had played even worse. And then when you were winning, you keep the guy and you keep rolling. But Stuart Skinner's played incredibly well the last two games. And I don't get all the people that were, apocalyptic with Stuart Skinner, where it's like, Stuart Skinner goes in and the whole world is ending, sort of thing. So, and then it proved it. He can play in big games. If he's struggling, you got to put Pickard in. But if he's playing well, he's playing well. If the team plays well in front of him, he's a capable goalie that can win you series and win you games and hopefully win you a cup.
It is, it's an odd playoffs, right? With goaltending, when you really look at the numbers of, there's not a lot that have shown real success or consistency or even mirrored their numbers from the regular season. But now you're starting to see some goalies kind of assert themselves. Ottinger last game played solid. I thought that obviously Stu Skinner, Bobrovsky, looking like the old Bobrovsky. Freddie Anderson I think he has the best numbers in the playoffs so far, has been playing solid, but that's the only one that's really mirrored his regular season numbers. So maybe at this point now you see guys kind of get into that groove of consistent goaltending. But what can you say? The Oilers have shown that they probably have the best tandem in the league when they said it was in Toronto, and they've shown that that's not the case at all over these last couple games.
780-218-9999. 780-218-9999 is where you can get in. Two Guys A Goalie here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Of course, Edmonton Sports Talk presented by Play Alberta. You can hit us up over in the nasty chat. Hammer the thumbs up. V-Power says, Dusty, you look like you've been drinking all morning. No, I've not had a sip to drink since we finished the morning show. I finished my one wine, and
good.
I don't really I don't drink a lot of wine, so having 3 moderately sized glasses of wine during the show today was more than enough for me.
That's fine, buddy. I mean, it's just grape juice.
Pretty much. I had to smoke Hernan and Tecpo, so I had to stay focused on that.
I got to deal with that all day now. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry for that. He's already in here yelling it's just a 2-man league.
He can't. His losses, and I didn't know he takes that so seriously because seems, not that he's not competitive, but he takes losses and wins. Like when we do Heat and Smoke, just a trivia thing, and I think I've won the last.
Does he take those?
At first I realized because he was winning and he was kind of puffing his chest out. There's a little peacock over there. For and then he lost one, and then he didn't talk to me after. And I'm like, what's going on? Nothing. And then I've been rolling him for the past few weeks, and I didn't. And so now it takes him at least 20 minutes after the show to start talking to me again.
Okay, so well, you know what? He should be singing La Bamba in about an hour from now. So that should make him pretty happy to start the show.
Yeah, that should be good.
Okay, that's good. 780-218-9999. 780-218-9999.
Excuse me 1 second.
Yeah, for sure. Look at Gager. It must be breaking news. The guys are talking about when the next series may begin. Probably not until early next week, but let's see what happens with the games tonight. Because, depending on what happens with the teams tonight, if Dallas is able to wrap it against Winnipeg tonight, I guess they could start it on the weekend. But we'll see. We'll see how that sorts itself out. Cass, what else impressed you about the group last night, obviously outside of Skinner?
Yeah, I mean, I love that it was a low event style hockey game.
Really was, wasn't it? Especially,
it really was.
Especially up until, I think it was about 6 minutes left in the second period. Knobloch kind of put McDavid and Draisaitl back together, and there's a one shift where they had chances and they gave up chances, and the game opened a bit. But before that, there was nothing going on.
Yeah, there was nothing. But it was like that, and I think there was another little burst in the third period where there was a couple chances back and forth quick. Over just like a shift or two. But outside of that, it was like there was nothing. And what I loved about the way that Edmonton played in that is they didn't try to force it, right? Like they were still patient in that type of game. Like they didn't try to stretch outside of themselves. Their defensemen didn't try to stretch outside and say, hey, we're going to try to do too much. Forwards didn't either. They just said, no, let's just stick with it. And we think we're going to win the hockey game, which is exactly ultimately what ended up happening. And the beautiful thing for me was like, I think, and we talked about this, we hadn't seen Edmonton and Vegas both play their best game. And I would still argue, I don't think that was Edmonton's best game. I don't think it was their best game of the series, but that was Vegas playing their best and that they were throwing everything they could at it defensively and trying to offensively. And Edmonton was just able to lock it down. So I love that it was a low-scoring, low-event game that just showed the Oilers' capacity to win in a different way, which was really encouraging for me as we head into this because it's most likely going to be Dallas. But I think both Dallas or potentially Winnipeg, but most likely Dallas, I think they pose even more of a challenge than the Vegas Golden Knights, and to be able to play a shutdown, low-event hockey game, I think is a great thing because if it is Dallas and it is Rantanen, going to have to shut some guys down here and be able to win those type of games.
Gage, that's the thing. They like from an odd man rush perspective, they seemed like they always had their defenseman back. Nobody was getting caught up the ice. Seemed like a forward was always making sure that he was back there on the back check immediately with some pretty good pressure. Like they didn't hang themselves out to dry at any moment in that game.
No, the recognition of everyone, the subtle plays when they, that puck management game style of making, and I think Louis actually said it was a game 2 games ago, or maybe last game. He just said they're making the Vegas Golden Knights go 200 feet, right? Yeah. They weren't turning it over and allowing them to use their counterattack, which they're so good at. Who impressed me from the Knights last night was Jack Eichel. Like he's
so good, isn't he?
So
didn't score in the series.
He couldn't score, but gosh, he had some good looks, some unbelievable passing. The way he comes through the neutral zone, it's different than Connor. Like it's not as
fast, but the puck is on a string.
It's glued to his stick, right? I to tell you the truth, Dusty, I'm really impressed with how the Edmonton Oilers handled themselves defensively over these last 2 games. They made them try to earn everything. Everything that Vegas got was either a good play or hardworking or winning a battle, and that's what they have to do. I still think after watching the Winnipeg Dallas series, I give the Oilers an edge, and I don't just because of the physical play of it all. I don't find that Dallas series, overly physical. Like, it's
watching that last game between those two teams. I thought if the Oilers play how they played in Game 4, neither of those teams are beating them.
It's a way that they're not playing right now. I'm sure they can play a physical brand of hockey, but I mean, when you have all these guys finishing checks, it's that Paul Maurice video that's gone viral, telling everyone punish their deke so they won't have anything in Game 7. And you could see it, man. You could see the Vegas Golden Knights defensemen, although I thought were great at limiting the Oilers' chances, but they were beat up, man. They were every time they touched the puck, they had someone in their face, and that's how you be successful in the playoffs. I gotta say though, the Oilers look really, really good right now. Statue
Boss Production says in 4 of their 8 wins so far, they've looked nearly unbeatable.
Yeah. And I'm always looking at the other team. How's the other team playing? And Cass, it's a good point that that's probably the best the Golden Knights can play, right? Missing Stone is big. A healthy Stone, it makes a difference on their team, obviously.
Didn't have Pietrangelo for Game 1.
Yeah, and he looks banged up too. And it's tough to say because I don't think but I think they really took the will away from the Vegas Golden Knights. They got to a point, there wasn't that extra stuff, and there was a little bit more of a commitment level to a man from the Edmonton Oilers in certain situations.
Yeah, I want to jump back to a comment that was made just a couple of minutes ago, on the Oilers' physicality, and I think it was incredibly important in this Vegas series. But you guys said, watching that Dallas-Winnipeg series, it hasn't been as physical. Those teams haven't had to deal with that type of physical presence, and I would agree. But do you think that's just, for the Dallas Stars anyways, Winnipeg's not a physical team. They're not a team that's going to try to beat you that way. And, do you think that Dallas is ill-equipped to play that type of game? Or do you just think, they're just not a team that embraces that style? Like, I think, and like Vegas tries to play a mean game at times. Like they have defensemen, Pietrangelo, for example, like they try to play mean, try to play physical, a little bit scrappy and dirty, and we'll scrum it up a little bit. But I wonder if that same physicality that maybe wore the Vegas Golden Knights down over the course of a series, if it has the same type of impact on the Dallas Stars. And I don't know. Like, do the Dallas Stars strike me as a team that's going to wilt from that physical game?
I've had such a hard read on that series because Winnipeg played a black and blue series against St. Louis. Like it was back and forth. St. Louis was probably the more physical,
way more
of the two teams, but the Jets held up well enough to win that series. So, Gage, do you think the Jets need to find that maybe tonight?
Oh yeah,
Dallas? Like
it wasn't that physical. It looked like a regular season game to me.
That last game did.
I really did. I go, this is a regular season hockey game. This isn't a playoff game. There's no. There was so much more room on the ice than last night, right? And I don't know, maybe there's just not a lot of, usually by this time in the series, there is a lot more animosity built up between the teams. But I mean, you could tell from Game 1 that the Edmonton Oilers and Vegas Golden Knights hated each other. Like
right away.
That's built-in hatred. But I didn't see that from, and maybe it'll start tonight. Maybe there will be a little bit more desire, I think, physically. There's going to have to be on Winnipeg's part. They have to start hammering guys because it was just free reign for a lot of these Dallas Stars, which, I mean, they have been, Sagan's not overly physical, but throws hits. Harley's a big physical presence. So their other big, huge D man, he was. But yeah, I think it's an element that the Edmonton Oilers have over everyone else remaining in the playoffs. Maybe Carolina. I have to watch a Carolina game here, but I don't know. It's impressive.
Yeah, I don't really want to watch a Carolina game. I really don't. Maybe I'll dabble in it a little bit tonight before the Jets game. Cass, how big a moment in the game last night was the back check by McDavid and Nuge? Both of them on their horse, tracking them down. Nuge lifting the stick, McDavid getting body position inside, went heavily into the boards, and you could tell he was kind of feeling it a little bit. But I don't know, I'll just say it for lack of a better example. Matthews and Marner don't make that play at this stage of their career. Would you agree? Like, I think McDavid and Nuge have been through it and are starting to kind of know what it takes. Don't you? I thought that was a good example last night.
Open up a can of worms.
Well, we'll get to that can of worms on the show today.
Nice
don't worry.
segue. I love it because it's a way to work our way over to Marner and Matthews and
we'll get
Toronto
there.
jerseys being thrown on the ice. I love it. By the way, how dare you throw a Toronto jersey on the ice, fans? How dare you? How dare you? I think we saw from this team last year. You know, this isn't the old guard, the old Oilers guard. You know, they talk about losing to the Islanders, and there's the mythology of we walked by their dressing room and they were all in ice bags and not celebrating after. And I know you always take some of that with a grain of salt, but you know, the reality was back in the 80s that the Edmonton Oilers had to learn how to win in the playoffs and what it takes, and that desire and the work ethic and the willingness to sacrifice. And I think that was there last year for this team. I really do. You get that close in the Stanley Cup final, losing a game 7, like you understand what it takes to get there. But as a guy that for me, like is a role player, when you see your star player and then another guy who works hard, that's sort of a star, I guess, in Nuge, but a player that's been around for a long time, they have a ton of respect for. When you see them and willing to sell out, to do what it takes to play defense, I mean, it's an inspiring thing from a momentum standpoint, and it's an important thing from a mental standpoint of just, you know, I always joke about how if Alfie, you know, Daniel Alfredson would have asked me to go, you know, stab someone with my skate, I probably would have tried, right? Because I'm like, you know, obviously if Alfie can't do it, it's because it's just a situation where maybe he's not able to get his skate off quick enough and he just needs me to do it. Like, cause I know
Corey and Trevor from Trailer Park Boys for Julian.
Yeah, really. Yeah. It's like, yeah, really. But it's because you know, if he was like in a more real situation, if he was like, Cass, go fight that guy, I'd be like, all right, I wouldn't blink. I'd just go do it. Because I know that he would also do that. Right. Like if he was there and something happened, like Alfie would just do it. And so seeing your leaders in the playoffs, in those big moments, sell out to accomplish what needs to be accomplished from a team standpoint, it's an important thing from a leadership standpoint, from an emotional standpoint. And then it's an important thing just to win games. So was it a big moment? Yeah, it was a huge moment. It was a huge moment, you know, taking away a good scoring chance from the work ethic and sacrifice of your best player and sort of Nuge. It was great.
And when it's like, what was it? Last year, Connor came out and threw a big hit right away. When your big dogs are doing the little things, how as a bottom 6 player, all of a sudden you're exempt from also doing those types of things as well. It's really infectious when the big dogs work just as hard on the other side of the puck as they do on the offensive side. And it's disheartening when you don't see that effort from, in the case of the Toronto Maple Leafs with Marner and Matthews, where you just don't see that consistently. I mean, if Marner and Matthews were a slug, then the playoffs would be salt poured on them, and they just curl up into little balls and dissolve.
What a comparison. What a comparison.
Isn't that good?
It's a great comparison. I love that reference. It's terrific. We'll get to them in a second. I'm going to use we'll get to number crunchers and talk about how Matthews hasn't scored in that series yet a little bit later on. Cass, who is the MVP of this series for the Edmonton Oilers?
Ooh, I could be opening up another can of worms. Who is the MVP for this series?
Just so you know, some answers this morning were Knobloch, and then a lot of people said everybody. But is there one that we could?
Is there one? I mean, Kassian wins you the series, comes out, throws some huge hits, kind of transforms the mentality of the team in some ways. McDavid, I mean, it's hard to argue with Knobloch if I'm chewing on it. And the reason I get to that is because if I have to say everybody from a team standpoint, and then I have to go to lineup decisions that were made, I have to go to, okay, well, the line combinations that were found that were worked, that were kind of retooled and tooled throughout, I kind of got to say Knobloch. I kind of got to say that. I think, if I have to go with it, I'm going with Knobloch for that. I have to. I think the decisions that were made from a lineup standpoint, from a deployment standpoint, were the right decisions, and I think that won you the series.
Gage, it's tough to argue against. It's almost like arguing against Knobloch would be finding somebody else, right?
I was just mentioning this because I heard you say it this morning, and I was in the bullpen with Reed, and I found it interesting that when you said that, the first thing through my mind didn't default to either Connor or Leon.
Yeah.
They didn't even enter my mind.
Usually we don't even ask this question because it's one of them.
It's so obvious, right? And for it not to be one of those two guys, and you're thinking of multiple other people in this series, it's never happened. It's never happened.
It's encouraging though. I mean, it's a very, very encouraging sign on,
I think Connor Brown has got to be close. Pickard game 2, just because that game 2 performance and
Skinner just threw out back-to-back shutouts.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
he
exactly.
wins game 2. They come home 0-2, putting the Vegas Golden Knights right behind the 8 ball. And then, Stu Skinner comes in and seals the deal. Like that's what a team does. A really good team, you really don't know who the MVP is.
Cass, we asked people today during our Fired Up segment for Gemco Fireplaces, are you more fired up about this team through 2 rounds this year than you were last year through 2 rounds? You know, and from a fan perspective, it's interesting because you kind of sort of had that feeling where last year we're like, oh man, it might be it. Now you've been there. Like you've been there and done that once. You got to the final. You came up short. Maybe that's limiting your expectations a little bit more this time around because you know how hard it is to actually get the job done. Or maybe because you saw last year's team get as close as they did, and now you're getting a good feel for this year's team. Maybe you'd be more excited about the end of the year this year. Where are you at on this year compared to last?
Yeah. It's a good question. I'm about the same. And let me explain why I'm about the same. Is heading into this, at this point, Western Conference Finals. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna back that off a little bit. I'm a little bit less excited right now because I'm more nervous if it ends up being Dallas for this next round.
Okay.
Because I think last year when I looked at the Dallas team and I looked at Edmonton and let's say the path to get to the Stanley Cup, I really liked the Oilers' path to get to the Stanley Cup last year. And I was like, okay, it was clear to me last year that they were the best team at that point in the Western Conference. This next series, again, if it ends up being Dallas, I'm nervous for, with Heiskanen coming back and Robertson now back and with Rantanen in the lineup. Like Dallas is a very good, very deep team. And newsflash, they have their depth guys playing as well, aka Granlund getting a hat trick. Right. So I'm more excited, I guess, in one way, because I know that the potential is there and I think they have a great chance of winning it if they get to the cup. But I'm less excited because it's like I know this next round is going to be a slog and I'm a little bit nervous about it.
Gager, will you lean one way or the other?
Usually I would lean towards Dallas, but I just can't right now. The fact that Connor and Leon haven't gone off.
That's one thing. Those guys have not. This last series, they didn't take over a game.
Yeah, and you could say Leon's play has been quite poor over the last 3 games too.
It has, yeah.
But I'm not as a big Ottinger guy as most. I think he's a good goaltender, but I do not think he is the difference maker.
I used to think he was among the elite.
Yeah,
and he's proven me wrong a couple times, so I'm kind of jaded a bit.
I like their chances against Dallas for some weird reason. I think they match up quite well. The physicality of it all, I think, and it's weird to mention the speed of the Oilers, but because it seemed like it was lacking for the better part of 82 regular season games, but it's there now. They're on pucks. There's play from certain players that are making me tip the scales in the Oilers' direction. And 2, I think this series will be the best one of them all because there is a little bit more of a history. Not that there isn't with Vegas, but obviously not as long. But there's still some hate, and I think from both fan bases, there is a history of Edmonton and Dallas going up against one another, and just last year in the conference finals. So I would assume it would be a much more physical series than what we're seeing with Winnipeg and Dallas right now.
Cass, do you think they can win a Stanley Cup if McDavid and Draisaitl produce and play how they did against Vegas?
That's a good question.
It's a roundabout way to say, do they need more out of the 2 best players?
Do they need more out of the 2 best players in the world?
Yeah, it's...
Yes, I think they need more. Yep, I think they do. Now you could make the argument, though, that you got a lot out of Connor McDavid from a points production.
He was buzzing.
He didn't take over a game, but
they both
contributed
finished with 5
regularly.
points in 5 games.
Yeah, so it's like they contributed regularly. I think Leon, the last 2 games, was better because just defensively he locked it down. Contributes to a big goal last game, but it was just. I think there was some liabilities to his game, where he just was struggling prior to that in the series. But I do think you need more. I think you will need them to at least take over 1 game.
Go out and win one. Like the one game we come in, we're like, that's the McDry game type of thing.
That's the McDry game where they just dominate and they're just like, oh yeah, there it is. And the reason I say that is because I think you're going to get one from the Stars on the other way, right? Like you're going to get a Rantanen game where it's like,
finish line has been pretty good. The Rantanen, Hintz, Granlund line,
Granlund line, like you're gonna get that from them, probably for at least 1 game. And so I'm like, okay, those guys are playing at that level. You have to have at least at the same or more in that series. You need to have your big guys do the same thing.
And but Vegas they have 2 number 1 defensemen, I think, with Theodore and Pietrangelo. But it's a little bit of a different beast with Heiskanen and Harley now. But
yeah,
one of those 2 guys is going to be on the ice the whole game, I would assume, right?
Wait, and nothing against those guys, but I'd be okay with Harley matching up against McDavid. Great, good defenseman, but this is Connor McDavid, and even McDavid has exposed Heiskanen in the past.
Heiskanen's been exposed a lot again when Edmonton's played him. Like it looked like he worked at Domino's more than he played for the Stars at times with some of the pizzas he delivered.
If you're watching over on YouTube today, it is 2 Guys and a Goalie, presented to you by GS Construction. We're 45 likes away from hitting 100 over there today, and there's a lot of you watching, so that's great. Hammer the thumbs up for us, be much appreciated. Did you guys? And we're gonna play it here. But did you see McDavid's postgame?
No, I didn't.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're gonna. Cass, did you see it at all? Okay, no. I want your guys' opinion on this. Because this does not come across as a guy who just eliminated the Vegas Golden Knights in 5. This is a guy who I think I would describe as knows he still has to win 8 games to win a Stanley Cup. Here's what McDavid's postgame from last night.
Defensive play over these last 2 games.
I thought it was great. I thought everyone dug in really hard. I thought Stu was great, bailed us out whenever we had a breakdown. The kill was great. defensively really, really good.
What does Stu coming in and pitching 2 straight shutouts in such important games, a series clincher, mean to this team?
Well, hopefully it shuts a lot of people up that were talking about him, first and foremost. But, we've always had belief in him, comes in and pitches 2 shutouts. Can't say enough good things.
To seek yesterday, getting the winning goal in overtime, is it a great inspiration of the day?
Absolutely. A guy that didn't start the series playing, comes in and is asked to play in a big role, and finds a way to get a goal there, a huge goal. Really good.
I think a lot of people saw this game going longer than 5. This series going a lot longer than 5 games. What does it say about your team that you were able to play Vegas the way that you did?
There's probably a lot of people that thought it was going to go longer than 5, and probably not a lot of people that thought we would win. It's nice to keep on rolling, keep on proving people wrong. We got a lot of belief in this room. It's fun to be part of.
Connor, you asked obviously about the way you guys have defended the last couple of games, but it just seems like there's been a natural progression over the last couple of years even. Have you seen that, the way that you guys defend and feel more comfortable defending as a group?
I mean, how many times are we going to answer this question, really? Honestly, that's frustrating that we keep talking about this. We can defend. We can. We've showed that time and time again. Come into a tough building and win a 1-0 game when it matters most. We can play that way. We can score goals. We can, whatever it takes, we can win games.
Do you, I know it's a different year and it's different players and stuff. Does this team look different than last year's team and perhaps maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit deeper? What do you think at this stage?
Tough to compare. I know we got a good team. Obviously we keep showing it. We've beaten 2 really, really good teams. LA, Vegas, obviously. And we've done it largely kind of grinding through special teams, PK's been battling the power play, struggled all series long, and, that's a new story for you guys to write too, 5-on-5, we've been really, really good.
You have a thought on going to the conference final for the 3rd time last 4 years?
Not really excited, obviously. Excited. We keep putting ourselves in good positions and keep giving ourselves a chance. We keep knocking at the door. That's all you can do. Keep giving yourself a chance.
All right, there you go. Keep giving yourself a chance. We know McDavid's not a guy who likes to dabble in the media maybe at the best of times. But Cass, what'd you think of his super serious, captain serious demeanor, Jonathan Tafe style, maybe from back in the day? I loved it. I thought it was terrific.
It's terrific. Hey, he knows they want to win a cup. I'm betting if they do, his demeanor in the post-game interview will be much different. But for now, it's business, right? I don't know if you guys ever saw that one Lego movie, but it's President Business, right? And that's what he is right now. He's all business. And we talked about that moment of him and Nuge on the back check and making that defensive play. Well, he's all business there too. So it just doesn't surprise me. He's just at that focus level right now. That's where he wants to be. He wants to win, wants the team to win. So yeah, he's obviously enjoying it a little bit, but at the same time, job's not done. So you'd be happy all you want getting to the Western Final, but that's it's not all the way up the ladder.
Gager, hopefully Skinner shuts people up. A lot of people didn't think we would win. And then maybe you guys can write about that with the special teams. What stood out to you from that?
The embracing of the underdog, I think. McDavid, I think, knows that this team plays better when everyone counts them out. And he's embracing that role. And tired of hearing about it. They've proven a lot over these past 2 rounds. But no one other than Stuart Skinner to go in and completely lack of a better term, shut the door for 2 games and get this thing done. So I like it because it's not, they should have shirts made up, act like you've been there before, right? And the job is not done. They're only halfway to where they want to be at the end of all this. And every stage of the mountain becomes more and more difficult. And it will get even more difficult in round 3 because it looks like it's going to be the Dallas Stars, which are a deep, experienced, hungry. I think they have the most hunger to get to the Stanley Cup Finals again, because there's a lot of the same players that I think were in the bubble that lost against Tampa.
In Dallas,
too.
well, they've been to back-to-back conference finals. I mean,
this is going to, and I just,
they're a really good team. If it is Dallas, this would be a hell of a series.
It'll be awesome. But it's just the Oilers have looked. I want to say they've looked hungrier than the Vegas Golden Knights and the LA Kings. I would say there's a little bit more of a desire, but I think from what I see with Dallas going up against Edmonton, you'll see that the equal amount of desire on both sides if that series does come.
All right, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. You can share your thoughts in that inbox. And we'll get into a few of those as well. Somebody over in the chat said, "Hey, do you guys think McDavid is hurt? He was kind of slow coming off the bench when they won in overtime. But he went 100 miles an hour into the M boards. I could see him being a little bit banged up.
Maybe
see him a little bit banged up, but obviously he'll be fine. He'll push through whatever ails him, if anything. In fact, does. I don't think the little cut on his lip would keep him from coming off the boards.
I don't know. I don't know. Could slow you down. Not getting enough oxygen.
All right, let's get into Number Crunchers. Brought to you by Play Alberta. Make your bets count for you and everyone else with the Play Alberta app with hundreds of player prop bets on the biggest leagues, NFL, CFL, NHL, NBA, MLB, you name it. They've got it. You're not just playing for fun. You're supporting your province. Play Alberta revenue helps fund Alberta programs and services. Deposit today with the promo code YEG50 and get an EST exclusive $50 free bet when you get started. I'll answer this. I think I know. I think it'd be a unanimous answer on this, but maybe not. Rafa over on the Nasty Chat on YouTube says, who starts next game? The guy that's won 6 in a row or the guy who has 2 shutouts in a row? And I think it's Skinner with the 2 shutouts. But man, how great is that to say, your one guy's won 6 in a row, and your other guy's coming in off what I believe was the 3rd longest playoff shutout streak in Oilers history.
Well, how it does so much for the confidence if something happens to Stu in the next game, or you can always go to that switch, and you're the guy that's coming in has. It's not like he hasn't played in 2 months, and he's had a ton of success in the playoffs already. It's a great spot to be in from a goaltending perspective.
Cass, your answer, Skinner, out of any.
Guy just got 2 shutouts in a row. He's normally your starter. He's the guy you wanted to start in the playoffs, and he didn't have a great start. The team did not have a great start, and you needed to pull him, rightfully so. You needed to start Pickard, rightfully so. You needed to keep Pickard in because you kept winning, rightfully so. But now he just got you 2 shutouts in a row and won you a series. So you're going back to the guy that hasn't let a goal in 2 games. So
I think even the biggest Skinner hater, if you want to call him that, would have said, prior to game 4. Yeah, Skinner would have to have 2 shutouts to get the net at the beginning of the game. Well, he did.
Yeah.
I mean,
No. But then they would have changed it. They would have backtracked. They would have been like, no. I meant 2 shutouts and score 3 goals himself. Like that's the kind of derangement that they get to. Yeah, not only does Stewart have to not let in any goals, he has to also manufacture goals offensively for the Oilers 3 or 4 times.
You forget that's almost 7 periods of shutout hockey too. Like
No, it's very impressive. Lick Furry over on the chat says just play Pickard games 1 to 3 and then Skinner 4 to 7.
There you go. Problem solved. Yeah,
absolutely automatic. 4 to 7.
Well, you pointed out those game 4 stats. Those are
his numbers. I think his numbers from 4 to 7 might almost be just as good, if not better.
Yeah,
he looks like the most clutch goaltender of all goaltenders from games 4 to 7, which is very positive. If you're the Edmonton Oilers, you're going to pull it out.
It's it's weird to me too, because if the Edmonton Oilers get to the Stanley Cup final and it turns out to be the Florida Panthers on the other side, Edmonton has home ice advantage, I think. Do they not?
Did they end up with more points than Florida?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
I hadn't even.
Florida was wild card, wasn't they? Florida was wild card.
No, Florida wasn't a wild card. No, because Florida opened up against Tampa in the second round.
Right.
But they had, or in the first round, they had, and they didn't have home ice.
No.
Let's see here. Yeah, they get 3 points better.
Yeah.
So the Oilers would have home ice.
Would have home ice in this.
Actually, you know what? The Oilers would also have home ice against Carolina.
Really?
Yeah, they have 2 points better than Carolina.
Bodes well.
So they've been going on the road here again in the West, but they've knocked off a 105-point team and a 110-point team. The Dallas Stars would be a 106-point team, and the Winnipeg Jets would be a 116-point team. But the Oilers would have home ice against, the two teams that are up right now. Those are the two teams that have home ice against. It's Washington and Toronto that would
that's crazy.
would have it against them if they get back to the Stanley Cup final. All right, let's quickly head over to that Toronto series. Kind of have to talk about that one, I think. Up 3-1 in Game 3 with a chance to go up 3-0, and you piss it away, and then you lose Game 4, and that's okay. That's okay. Coming home, it's gonna be fine. You're coming home. You won the first 2 games on home ice. Everything's gonna be okay. And then they go out and people are lining up, like hundreds and thousands of people are lining up to leave with about 10 minutes left. There's jerseys on the ice. You're being booed. The Panthers are laughing at the situation. Just an absolute disaster. It ties into number crunchers because it was brought up on the Lock Shop today by somebody. 23 players have scored in this series, but Austin Matthews is not one of them. Cass, how ridiculous is this?
Well, it's pretty ridiculous that the league hasn't allowed him to score. He is, the second tandem of 1A, 1B of the best players in the world. So, it's a little crazy. It's nuts. And it's not like he hasn't had opportunities. That's the thing. He just hasn't managed to pull the trigger. It hasn't found a way to score. He's had shots. He's had missed shots. He's had grade A chances, and he just hasn't found a way to put the puck in the net. But that's they're called the core 4, as they call it out there. The core 4. Core 4 as a whole hasn't done that.
We're witnessing the end of the core 4, right?
Yeah, you would think.
Don't want any more 4. That's what it should be called now.
Oh yeah. Who do you think goes first? Obviously,
Marner's a UFA and Tavares is UFA.
Yeah, so
I could see Tavares being like, "I'll come back for $5 million." He's made a ton of money.
Yeah.
I mean, why would he really want to go anywhere else?
Doesn't have to move the family then. Yeah.
We were talking about on Lock Shop. I mean, why would the Los Angeles Kings not go after Marner? They don't have any forwards that make more than $7.8 million. Yeah. Kenny Holland's coming in there trying to find a guy. I mean, I think there'll be teams that'll pay Mitch Marner 12, 13 mil, Cass, even with some of these playoff disappointments over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Do you deserve the heat that they got last night, Gager, when the series is tied? I can see the elimination game. Like, if they were to lose and that was it, like you're losing the series 4-1, I could see that. It's still a 3-2 series, and you're getting jerseys thrown on the ice and getting booed out of your home barn when you're only down 3-2. I kind of think it's a bad look from and I understand it's been 50 years of frustration with the fan base, but to me it just shows how little faith they have in those guys to get it done, that they know that series is as good as cooked. It's done, and the fans know it.
Yeah, they've seen this movie before, right? And I think it's just a bunch of players that have
I don't even know what it is, and I don't want to try it.
Oh, you'd love this.
Oh, come on. Oh, I do?
Yeah.
Oh,
you'd
okay. I thought you were
going to
give me. What is this? It's just a little bread and cheese? I do like it. What's it called?
Cheese bread.
Cheese bread, okay. It looks different. Like, I used to have cheese bread as a stick. Oh, that's really nice. Sorry, Cass. I don't know who was talking there, boys. Sorry, boys.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all good.
No, it's just their inability to show themselves in big games on a consistent basis. I think Didn't Matthews have a really good game against Boston? I think they won 2-1. He sealed it with 2 goals. He scored an empty netter, I think, or something.
2 years ago?
Was it 2 years ago?
Well, because they've only won 2 series. 3
Three.
Yeah.
Isn't it 3 series?
Well,
you got to make changes. You have to.
I can't remember.
I don't think so. I think because in 22-23 he played 11 games, so that would have been 2 series. Last year he only played 5, and now this year he's played 11. So they've only won 2 series with this guy.
But it was one game where you thought, oh, this might be the turning point where he's finally figured it out. And there's the rumors he's hurt or things like that. But
can I plot twist you here?
Sure.
Trade Matthews, sign Marner, keep Tavares.
Get a lot for Matthews.
So you have Nylander. You're going to lose Marner for nothing. He's a UFA. Re-sign Marner. You obviously have Nylander. Keep Tavares at whatever. And, if your culture or leadership group is not where it needs to be and your captain doesn't come up in big moments, you could get a ton for Austin Matthews that you can then put with Tavares and Marner and Nylander and maybe change the way people do things. I don't think Nylander's a problem.
I don't think you win that trade. I mean,
you
might not win it, but your team might be better.
You don't win it during the regular season, no, right? Because you're looking at Matthews scoring 50 somewhere else.
Yeah.
Come playoff time, and you have a player in the mold of a JT Miller or whatever that's hammering and scoring and actually having success in the playoffs. I think Leaf fans would make that trade in a heartbeat.
Guys, let me throw this in. So what would the Kings have to add to Quentin Byfield in a deal for Austin Matthews? How significant of deal does that have to be? I love Byfield. I think there's going to be a big player there.
Oh, there is.
What would you add to Byfield to get?
Forward, we probably need a forward and a defenseman, or a steady defenseman and a prospect, top prospect, you got to think. So you have to do Byfield, probably like a first rounder.
Brant Clark, Brant Clark kid. I mean, he's young.
Maybe like a Clark.
Upside.
Yeah.
And then you sign Marner. You got Byfield. You got Brant Clark. You keep Tavares. I don't know. I mean, I'm very fantasy driven on trades anyway, but I don't think it should be completely written off.
It shouldn't be completely written off, but it just like look at what's happening to the Colorado Avalanche right now. Or sorry, I should say Dallas Stars. Like you get Rantanen, you get one of those guys, and the difference. And I understand Rantanen's a guy that's had playoff success before that we've seen do that, and so that's not the question here. But it's just, I'm still terrified of trading a guy that can score between 50 and 70 goals a season, and saying we're going to move this guy, because you don't win those big trades. I don't know.
I don't know. I was just going to say, Cass, so you just ride it out with him and hope that he can somehow lead a team come playoff time and perform well himself? Or have you seen it enough in 8 years or 9 years now to be like, this isn't the guy?
I don't know. That's what's the hard question, isn't it? Because you're like, okay, well, what do we look for auxiliary players to support the guys that are going to try to drive that? And you've tried to answer that multiple times, and it just hasn't worked as of yet. That being said, guys, he could turn it on. They could still win this series, and it becomes a completely different storyline and narrative. So we can't, I think, write it off yet until they actually lose.
He has 3 years left at 13.25.
Yeah, it's just so tough. It's so hard, guys, to know. Man, I don't know. I don't know what I do.
Playoffs, right? And he helps you make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But is non-existent in the playoffs. Like both him and Marner. Everyone else on the Leafs are pulling their own weight too. Like they're getting contributions. They're deeper. Their goalies have been better. You know, all these things, and they still, the two sore thumbs that come out are and it didn't help the Spinorama giveaway last night. That's kind of funny, actually.
It actually is hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Calvin Seover says, guys, the Los Angeles Kings live chat for the Holland presser is hilarious right now.
Oh,
that's interesting. So that's going down. They've got the live chat. I have to pop over there and check that out a little bit later on this morning. You hear when we listened to those calls on Toronto radio this morning?
Yeah, I heard a couple.
Yeah, we took a couple calls.
I saw.
We hopped in on the TSN feed and listened to Toronto calls into the Toronto radio station. And my God, was it hilarious. I can't feel sorry for them. I know at this point, some of you might have a soft spot for perennial losers, but I'll never be able to do it. I just grew up hating them. I can't do it.
You can't it would be unbearable. It would be unbearable the whole summer of seeing this. It would be a GoPro going to each player's Stanley Cup party. Like it would be nauseating if they won the Stanley Cup.
Haji says everyone knows that Matthews' heart is in Utah. Rob from LA says, as for Byfield, when does he have to really pop to stop talking about his potential? I think we have to remember, how old is Byfield? Didn't he come in like
23?
A bit too.
Let me check. I'm going to check.
I don't know if he's even 23 yet, man.
He's 22.
He's 22. Yeah. He'll be 23 in August. So he'll be 23 next season.
And he's already taken over. Like, he's a centerman, right? They had to push him to the wing.
Yeah.
And now he's taken over as a centerman. Like, he's
back-to-back 55-point seasons for a 21 and 22-year-old. I mean, by the time Byfield's 25, I think he's going to be an 85, 90-point guy.
And dominating physically.
Yeah. Which Matthews doesn't do, despite having a body that he could do it.
I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but I picked Byfield 3 years ago to be the breakout player in the Western Conference. And I was a year early on it.
Yeah, he had 22 points that year, I think. But you would have picked him as a 22-year-old, right? He's been playing since he was 18, 19.
Yeah, I picked him to have his breakout season, though. Just seeing and watching, especially with the Oilers just playing them again and being like, okay, no, there's something there to this kid. And I still think so. Like, he could be absolutely dominant. He will be in a lot of ways absolutely dominant. He's going to be great, which like, and that's why you say, okay, Matthews for Byfield and other stuff. It's like, okay, that intrigues me a little bit more if you could actually do
I'm
that.
also saying you keep Marner too, right? So you still keep keep Marner. You just add this guy with some, and I mean, you watch him. He's 6'5", 200.
Yeah, LA's not doing that though. Like, if you were LA, are you doing that?
I don't think
that's
so.
a great question. I didn't even think about that.
Would you?
Kenny Holland might.
Yeah, maybe. I would think Matthews.
Would you give up Byfield and Clark and some picks for 3 years of Matthews, knowing that he could just leave and go to wherever after?
I don't know. I think I like just more for playoffs. Like, I would say that Matthews would go for more. If you were, could you trade him for Kaprizov?
No way. Well, no. I don't think Minnesota would do that. I don't know.
Why would you do that either?
Yeah, Kaprizov.
He's American. Yeah, I mean, it's same in LA or whatever, but I don't know. I think Toronto would like to have someone back, like a flashy player, right? Not that Byfield's flashy,
but I'm saying in 3 years though, he could be a center that
he could be
even more than 3 years. Like next year, he could be a 70-point guy.
Yeah.
All right, what's coming up in ESC Afternoons? This is a good discussion today, boys. Great show.
We'll go over the series with the Vegas Golden Knights. Red Light District at 1:40. Jamie Thomas, host of the Ground Control Podcast.
Yes, JT
will join us at 2:20, and then get ready for old dilated one eye over there. Reed Wilkins and Jay Milne.
La Bamba right off the top, baby.
Oh, stay tuned.
Yeah, let's go. I love it. EST Afternoons is coming up. Hernan's rolling up his sleeves. He's ready to go. Cass, good chat once again, man. Two Guys and a Goalie, brought to you by our great partners over at GS Construction, where Sam within his crew always hiring because they're always busy. GS Construction hiring now. Become a part of their great team today. Visit gsconstruction.ca or go to their page on indeed.ca. They've been doing it for 50 years, so you know they're damn good at it. For Gager and Cass, I'm Dustin Nielson. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning on The Nielsen Show. Enjoy all of our shows this afternoon. Take it easy.